Hello, people. This is Mid-Rock Crisis. Today we're going to talk about Neu, and that is spelled N-E-U exclamation point. The exclamation point is put on there so that you know this is Krautrock. They formed in Dusseldorf in 1971 by Klaus Dinger and Michael Rother. They left Kraftwerk. They were Kraftwerk people. Autobahn was the first electronic radio hit. I didn't really know that, but I do now. Neu was produced by Connie Plank, sort of a third secret member. The albums were Neu in 72, Neu 2 in 73, and Neu 75 in 75. Then they disbanded, but got back together again in the mid-80s. They had very little commercial success, but the band has been called founders of Krautrock, the musical movement that peaked in the 70s. And they're also called pioneers of the motoric beat, along with German experimental rock band Can. Klaus Dinger renamed the motoric beat as the Apache beat. Neu was influenced plenty of new bands, but rock, post-punk, and electronic. First album sold 30,000 units, and that is a lot for an underground band. Today, it's considered a masterpiece, and David Bowie, Brian Eno, and Iggy Pop, and Tom York of Radiohead all dug it. Second album, early examples of remixes. Remixing is a term used in the studio. It can be applied to different uses. Here's the Neu 2 album. There's a slight show build, but no climax, like Sex Without End. It's kind of like that. It's clean and danceable, and the future is in the past. It's not what you call robotic, not inorganic. It's flowing, like sheer satin, but not frail or delicate, but not in your face. It's like a continuous caress. Are you interested in this album? It's called Neu 2. The 2 and 4 with 16th note fills and a crash on the Zildjian when it needs it, and only when it needs it. The Apache beat is 2 and 4 turned inside out. Side 2 is funny. Puts a smile on you like fairies in a new wave band. I don't mean that kind of fairy, guys. You know, like out in the woods kind of fairies. Songs from the wood kind of fairies, those kind of fairies. One dimension removed. And then the dwarves are heard from, and the beasts. And the flower children are back. Neu 75 continued the hijinks in the studio. Side 1 was Rother's ambient sound similar to the first album, but side 2 was Dinger's pre-punk rock, pounding and distorted. Hans Lampe and brother Tom Dinger were brought in for live shows. The Rothers and Dingers were off into their own sounds, and Neu was old. They split up. Half of their fans went along with Rother, and the other half melted into the London punk scene. The duo found their solo careers to be satisfying and successful. So there's that. Dinger's solo album, La Dusseldorf, was cited by David Bowie as the soundtrack of the 80s. In 85, there was a new Neu, but the duo couldn't make it work. They both thought the recordings were too new wave. The work was abandoned, but was released in 1995 as Neu 4. Then in 1999, a tribute album was released with music by the legendary Pink Dots. available as a download. Autocrease, Dead Voices on Air, Con, System 7, and James Plotkin, none of whom I have ever heard of. 2001, Rother and Dinger. They buried the hatchet, not in each other's face or anything. They got back together and released their first 3 albums on CD, mostly to disrupt bootlegs, which were made poorly. Dinger died of heart failure in 2008. In 2009, another tribute album was released, including works by Oasis, Primal Scream, Kasabian, School of Seven Bells, Sonic Youth, Holy Fuck, and Pets with Pets from Australia. And I have heard of some of these. 2010, Rather joined with Steve Shelley of Sonic Youth and Aaron Mullen of Tall Furs to play at Hallowed Gallow 2010, a live project to keep the genre cooking. Rather also toured with German trio Chimera and occasionally with Dieter Mobius of Cluster. Neu also influenced Hawkwind and Lemmy Kilmister. Other influences reached Joy Division. Ultravox cited Neu as influence and even called themselves Ultravox! As a nod to Neu! Videography, Romantic Warriors 4, show about Krautrock. It was released in 2019. Now, Krautrock is a funny name. It sounds a little like, World War II a little bit. It's not that. It's just a nod to German bands who favored the groove. Think of Krautrock as being a very, very steady beat, but a very, very non-steady melody or sound effect. But the beat is there to make the groove, and it works. Think of Tubular Bells. Well, anyway, I'm done. See you next time. Go Krautrock.